the camera does a dolly behind Helena's ass, and like you can see, I think, Kyle, you can see Christy through her thigh gap in the distance.
Yes.
It's art, Kyle. Hello and welcome back to the 195th episode, Good Bad or Bad Bad, the show where we watch terrible movies and tell you if you should too. I'm your host, Mr. Bryan Shilligo, joined once again by the other host of this illustrious show, Mr. Kyle Hitting Kyle, coming off the high of 194 with Sir Neil Breen. He's been knighted.
Wherever there's an injustice, I will be there.
Despite what some people, I was interesting seeing the lead up and people being like, this one's terrible, it's awful, blah, blah, blah. I was not my opinion, obviously.
No, I think he still is, like, he still believes what he's doing.
Yep.
His method is just changed.
Yes, and I saw some people, it was an interesting speculation that maybe this was more driven by COVID than, because it kind of lines up timeline-wise. Yeah. I still think it's more driven by laziness than that, but I think that could have played a part in it potentially.
Because of his age, just lack of ability.
That's what that too. I guess that's not laziness to be fair to Neil Breen, but that's he is getting up there.
I just had to kill a gang of 10 kidnappers.
But yeah, I still think he's trying his best. He's just doing it in a little bit lazier of a way, and I still enjoy the movie despite all of its flaws. But anyways, we're not here to talk about Cade the Tortured Crossing this week. We're here to talk about
Dead or Alive,
Extreme Beach Volleyball.
DOA, Dead or Alive.
You remember that video game,
yes.
Kyle? So that was like my only knowledge of Dead. I knew it was a fighting game, but I've never played it. I've played almost every other fighting game.
It basically exists as a bunch of like beachwear volleyball,
scantily clad women doing stuff. Yeah,
it used to be like a Tekken knockoff.
Yeah, that's what it kind of looked like, and what I assumed it basically was. When I googled some images to see like if any of these characters were from the game, which they are, in differing like faithfulness and how they're represented on screen, I guess. But I all I knew about it literally is because I remember back on G4 back in the day, they used to like make jokes about DOA or beach volleyball all the time because it was just the horniest video game that has ever
basically,
existed.
What it reminded me a lot of was in Japan, like the lifestyle simulators or whatever.
Yeah,
where you'd have like, or the dating simulators.
Yeah, like a dating simulator. And I think that's basically what it was with like a very mediocre, and maybe not mediocre. Don't come at me if it's a great volleyball game. I do not know, but with like a volleyball game slapped on top of it, basically. So that was my only knowledge of this. And then you recommended this movie, and I remembered this movie. Like I had a vague.
I had not seen this.
I've never seen it
ever.
No,
like,
me neither.
Somebody. This was recommended just by somebody. I forget who. But my God, I was not prepared for it.
Neither was I, because Kyle, hot take, this movie's amazing. This movie, and I am not kidding in the slightest, is incredible.
It's art.
It's art. I 100% will go to bat over it. In this video essay. I will explain how DOA Dead or Alive from 2006 is a masterpiece.
2006, based off a video game.
Yes.
There's only one soul there's two souls that we can bring into this. One of them, I think, was busy. UA Ball would have been the proper choice.
Yeah.
But if you can't get UA Ball, you get Paul W.S. Anderson.
W.S. Anderson. Now, to be fair, he did not direct the movie,
but he was a producer
on it.
And
his fingerprints are on it.
Yes, very, very much so.
I could see that, but I will say this, too. The director, Corey Yoon, he from Hong Kong, did a bunch of movies in Hong Kong, martial arts movies and that sort of stuff. That's his wheelhouse, and so it makes sense. You can tell by the wire work and the choreography, because the fights in this movie are awesome. In my opinion, like genuinely pretty awesome. I loved it. He also directed the first Transporter movie, which I've not seen either. The Jason Statham like transporter or whatever. This guy Corey Yuen did.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, which I've heard that I think that first one's like supposed to be fairly good, like, you know, as an action movie, pretty good, which I would believe, because again, this movie kicks ass. So let's get into it. We open up on this film in the with like an early 2000s CG fly-in.
Oh my God, yes.
Over like this forbidden temple or whatever, like hidden temple.
Yeah, we're in Japan.
Yes.
And we are just going over this like almost like feudal-esque era Japanese palace.
Yeah, exactly. Which the only experience I have from it is from movies like Fearless, Hero maybe, or like there's some of those like there was like a Jet Li movie where he's like it's been so long since I've seen it.
Jet Li's Chinese, but yeah.
No, I know. But I'm saying like this style of what is that movie? I think is it Hero? He has in some movie where you see there's like they're in that big courtyard of this like palace. Yeah,
in Hero they are in I think the Forbidden Palace.
Yeah, which it's a similar look. I understand it's different places, but and I thought it was but I love that it's all CG the first time we fly in, which again it's 2006.
Oh my God, some of the special effects in this are just
yeah.
There's a few of them that are on par with some Neil Breen green screen.
Really?
Particularly the scene where they're parachuting.
Oh, the skydiving. Yeah, there is some incredible yes, which is almost the opening scene. But yeah, so we fly in and we're introduced to Princess Kasumi, I believe
played by Devon Aoki.
Yes, yeah, absolutely, and she is going to be taking over as the ruling monarch in this. Where they don't really even say where we are. It's not important. Why it's confusing, doesn't matter. Because
like, what is this? Like they need like daimos. They're like feudal Japan lords.
Yeah, it's a video game universe where the rules are made up and none of it matters, Kyle. But yeah, she is taking over because her brother is dead, and we will find out eventually that he's dead because he went to go fight in the last DOA tournament.
He went to go fight in a dead or alive tournament. Who would have thought?
Yeah, and he ended up dead supposedly, but she doesn't buy it. She's not convinced he's dead.
Nobody ever found his body.
Yes, nobody found his body, and we will get to that eventually. It threw some great flashbacks. But then, so then all of a sudden, I don't know what's going on here. I don't understand the dynamics of this. One of the like the head of the guard or something, the purple haired, what is her Yatami or not Yatami? Oh my goodness, I have it in here somewhere, but
Ayani or something.
Yeah, because there's Hayate is her brother. That's her brother's name is Hayate, and the purple Ayami. That is it. Yeah. It is Ayami. So Ayami shows up and just like. There's like a glint in the distance, and then she comes flying out with a sword. And this is the moment I knew the movie was going to be kick-ass.
The Ayani character, she exists only as far as the plot needs her to exist.
Yes.
Because she just literally comes into a scene and then disappears without rhyme or reason.
Yeah, and I'm not even sure why. So she attacks Kasumi because Kasumi is going to leave?
Yeah, she would become, as they say, shinobi. You're no longer part of the clan, so we have to kill you.
I'm your servant, but if you leave, I'm honor bound to kill you.
Yeah, I guess. So she comes in to kill her. There's this great moment though where she comes in and they hold their swords up, and her like robe, one of their robes that they were wearing, falls, and it like falls on the upturned blade of the sword and splits down the middle in slow motion. Kyle, I love that was the first moment that I was like, all right, we got some style here. We got something going on here, and it only gets better as we go. But anyway, so she does some sweet wire work to jump over the wall.
And her jumping over the wall, God,
it's amazing.
Incredible.
It's amazing.
She jumps over the wall in like near swan diving fashion.
Yes.
And flies off the cliff,
rips all of her clothes off.
Yes, and she has a parachute on.
Yeah, and like a whole like skydiver outfit underneath or whatever, and a parachute, and she skydives off the roof. Or not a skydive, she has a hang glider. She like hits a button and goes, and these wings open up.
So ridiculous.
It's amazing. And then as she's flying, a little like throwing star
it's
thing.
a dead or alive shuriken.
Yes, comes flying, and I don't remember if she catches it or if it sticks in something, but she sees it and she's like, oh yeah. And so she got recruited, and then we get like a character introduction screen. It's like Ayami, Shinobi princess or something like that. It's incredible. Then we cut to, and this movie understands what it is, which is horny, because
this is where we go to JB Presley, right?
yes, climbing out of the ocean in her American flag bikini, which I remembered the character. I remember I've seen, because I googled Tina Dead or Alive, and the American flag bikini is like one of the main, is like the first image that popped up. But yeah, she is a wrestler, a professional wrestler, her and her dad. And I
already told you, I am done wrestling. I'm done being fake. I'm done.
Did you notice? I mean, how could you not? The incredible product placement in this this scene. She's sitting there like sunbathing, and there are like 4 vitamin water bottles, like perfectly, like just by themselves with like a little plate of food, like away from her, just for the camera. So stupid.
I'd say, it's important to stay hydrated, but those things are not healthy.
Yeah, it's amazing. But yeah, it's just vitamin, but like 4 of them just like right next to each other. It's like a commercial for vitamin water.
Was vitamin water owned by Coca-Cola at this point? Or?
Maybe, yeah, I don't remember.
Okay, I know they are now.
Yeah, I think it always has.
Okay, so I'm wondering if this is a Coke product placement.
Yeah, it could be. I don't know, but it's so good. It's done so blatantly that I couldn't believe it. It was kind of impressive.
It is even used as a like an actual physical like prop. Because doesn't she throw it?
I think she throws a beer at him. No, because she's drinking a PBR that apparently they didn't get the rights to because they had taped out the logo.
That's
you
great.
Can absolutely tell it's a PBR.
Heineken. Fuck that shit.
Heineken. Fuck that shit. Pabst Blue Ribbon.
So she has this PBR, and then these pirates show up. I think is what's going on. Like these pirates board her ship, and then they're like, "Give us your boat." And then she kicks all of their asses because they didn't know who they were messing, which is the world's deadliest professional wrestler.
What the?
And as she kicks the first dude, then we get this incredible like camera shake. And like, and this is like, I was like, this is my first note. I said, does this movie kick ass? Because I think this movie might kick ass.
Yeah, like a lot of the hits in this, like they have a digital shake to the cameras up, dude.
But it's pretty effective. I think the choreography and the fight cinematography in this are fantastic. Like for what this movie is and what it's trying to be, which is a stupid, horny video game movie. It knows that's what it is, and that is exactly what it is. And then they do it to the nth degree. It's incredible. So that's our introduction of Tina. She's the wrestler. And then as she beats all these guys up, little shuriken flies into the boat, DOA or whatever. And now we've introduced to Tina. Then we got to introduce to our final of our gal pals, which is Christy, the cat burglar, like thief lady, assassin, they say. And she is like in her hotel room, getting out of the shower, and a bunch of guys, like cops, the feds show up, I guess, or whatever, to arrest her.
And she has like the worst false bottom suitcase on the planet.
Oh yeah. Yeah, but she's sitting there like in her towel as they like all arrest her, and this is incredible.
Okay, I can only imagine that the towel that was covering her for the most part in a lot of the scene was CG and just ever so covered up everything.
Well, my favorite thing is once she starts, because a fight breaks out, like they come to arrest her, and my favorite detail is he goes to hand her she's like, can you give me my bra, after she like puts her underwear on under her towel, and they're all like hot and bothered. He brings her bra to do it. He pulls his gun out of his holster. Yes. It's not like he's already holding it. He pulls it out of his holster and then uses to scoop the bra up and carry it over and like hand it to her. And of course she kicks the gun out of his hand immediately. But then the greatest 30 seconds in cinema history ensues, Kyle, where she whips that towel up and starts beating up all these dudes naked. And I love there's several moments where you would absolutely be able to see her nipples, but because this is a PG-13 movie, they have just airbrushed them away to where it's just like they're gone. But my favorite moment in the whole thing is that she starts beating all these dudes up, and then she like at one point her bra gets flung in the air, and she like does this sweet move and catches the gun, and then catches the bra onto her arms mid like fight. It's amazing, Kyle. This movie is art.
It's art.
It's art. I'm not kidding. This movie knows exactly what it should be, and it does it. It's art.
I like how you're just that meme now too.
Dude, for this one, this is I go watch this movie and come back to me and tell me you didn't have a great time watching this movie. It's impossible.
Oh, there was a great quote. It was like from the ridiculous narrative and the over the top like action sequences. Turning off your brain is a requirement at the door to watch Dead or Alive. That's what a quote was in one of the reviews.
Yeah, and look, that's fine because it's a video game movie based on a video game where a bunch of random people like wrestlers and ninjas go fight each other on an island. Of course it's stupid.
Hey, it works in Street Fighter with Jean-Claude Van Damme.
This is 10 times the movie that this is what Street Fighter wishes it could be, in my opinion. This is maybe the best video game movie I've ever seen. Maybe.
Hayate is in both our hearts. Help me find out what happened to him.
He's dead.
Trying to think of another one that stacks up. Movie. Obviously, there's some shows that are pretty good. But movie-wise, I don't know. I think I would put this as my favorite. I'm not joking. Okay. It's that good. Anyways. So they then we cut from there. We've now been introduced to Christy, and then we cut to an airplane, and they're all flying because she also gets a little thing. They've all been invited, and then we cut to this airplane, and we don't get like this big long character intros for all of these people. We're on the plane, and now all of the fighters are there, and we're kind of get very brief introductions to Zach, who's the guy with the incredible little spike.
the little like spike that's slightly
just like a little, and it's green.
His mustache and his goatee and all that,
it's all green. It's incredible. But he's like he's kind of like a big buff guy who's like hitting on all the women and thinks he's super cool or whatever. And they all just kind of think he's obnoxious. But then Tina's dad is also there. He got recruited.
To be Macho Man Randy Savage.
Is that? I was like, or Hulk Hogan.
They got this long blonde hair with dark beard because you're clearly not bleaching one of those.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's her daddy. He's just like a generic, Macho Man Randy Savage knockoff. And then there's some other people like the boyfriend of the thief guy or of the thief girl, Christy. Her like boyfriend and former partner who like sold her out is there, and they have like
for
the
reasons
history.
I'm not sure exactly. How he got
doesn't
there.
matter. Who cares? Yeah, because he's not really a fighter or anything. Well, I think he says he basically like conned his way into being. I think later there's some line I can't remember. Anyways, and then I think. Is that all the main people? Pretty much. There's some other characters, but they're not all that important.
The best friend of the brother, the Habutse.
Oh, Hayabusa, who is Kasumi's like bodyguard. He's like the head of the guard or whatever, and he's there to protect her. And he's like best friends with Hayate and secretly in love with Ayami, who is the other assassin who's trying to kill her. Anyways, they're on the plane. We've now met everybody. There's also just like this guy in like a caricature of like a Chinese like mystic guy in the back. He's like sitting in the back. We never see him again in the thing, and I assume he's some character from the video game because he's never in the movie after this.
KO. Genfu wins.
Maybe he died during this next scene. I don't know, but they have to all parachute out of the plane.
Yes.
Because they're flying over the island where this DOA fight takes place, and they all need to jump off the plane to get to the island. And this is where you're talking about. We get some incredible green screened skydiving moments.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's fantastic. So then they land, but they're not actually at the compound.
And
where
they have to get there by sundown.
Yes,
or else
they're
anyways.
They're kicked out.
So they have to climb this tower with a Buddha statue in it.
Yes. Yeah, and I was like, this looks like it should have stairs on it.
Yes.
And
no.
It's so funny when they get to the top, you can see.
Well, there's ladders.
That's what I mean. When you get to the top, there's like a ladder, But for some reason, they don't take those ladders.
No.
They just climb up the side of the thing. And I'm like, all right, fine, whatever. But they realize as they're climbing that they're going to run out of time. So they got to work together because they're all competing, obviously. But these three girls, the main ones, realize they need to work together to get to the top. And it's the most ridiculous, incredible. They're like using themselves as human ladders to like throw each other.
I mean, you
up.
could just use the ladder.
Why, when you have human ladder, Kyle? It's so much better. And like almost pulling each other's pants down, obviously, because again, this movie was created by the world's most talented 13-year-old. Like it is
with one hand.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God. But they get to the top just in time, and as they're arriving in the courtyard, we're introduced to Helena, who comes rollerblading in. And I was
What
like,
the fuck was this?
this has got to be from the game that her
It has
character
to.
rollerblades.
It has to.
Gotta
It's
be.
so ridiculous.
It's so random. She just comes rollerblading in, and then she's like the host, or like initially she welcomes everybody to the island, and then we're introduced to the actual host.
Of course, classic Good, Bad, or Bad. He's in on basically everything.
Basically every movie. Spoilers, he's in our next episode too, and we did not plan that. It just happened.
Eric Roberts.
Yes. Eric Roberts is playing Donovan, who is the guy who like runs the DOA game.
Eric Roberts is one of those guys who you could just throw it like, we need you to be the main character or we need you to be the villain. And he's
like,
just
sure.
like, did the check clear?
Yeah.
I'm yours.
Yeah. Usually the villain, at least in our movies, he tends to be the villain.
This was like right before The Dark Knight. So this is still when he was getting some roles.
Yeah, some actual roles for sure. He's still getting roles, just not, I don't know if they're the ones he necessarily wants, but yeah. So anyways, then we also find out in this that Helena, the rollerblade girl, is the daughter of the guy that co-invented the DOA fight with Eric Roberts, who is now dead under mysterious circumstances. He just disappeared or something like that.
Dead or Alive was created by the late, great, famed Douglas.
Seems to be happening a lot.
Yeah, it seems to happen a lot here. So then they have to get everybody into the game. So they have to like do full body scans of them all.
Full body scans, injections of nanobots.
Yes, which will be important to the actual plot, like what is actually going on here and what Eric Roberts' master plan is. But I absolutely love, during these scans, we cut to the tech guy, Weatherby. We're introduced to Weatherby, who's like the tech guy, and we cut to his his workstation, and it is the most early 2000s like computer station.
All it was missing is the freaking iMac.
His whole desk looks like an iMac. It is that see-through colored plastic everything is. And I'm pretty sure they literally are using like Apple keyboards. Like it looks like the MacBook, or like not MacBook, but like the iMac keyboards they were selling.
I love how like the definition of high tech back then of like, what do all these people who write code and stuff?
Yeah,
they got to use like Apple products because those look high tech.
Yeah,
and like anybody who does actual coding would never use an Apple product.
Well, and I love too that there's just like random like mini discs or whatever like arrayed on the desk because they look like kind of computery or whatever, but it's all see-through and it's all amazing. We need to go back to that design aesthetic, the N64.
Where everything's like clear plastic and bubble
colored plastic. Yeah, no, yeah. We need to return to our roots.
We need to go back.
We must go back, Kyle. But it's incredible, and I think overall the aesthetic of this movie kind of rocks. It is so perfectly 2006. Well, it's amazing.
Welcome to the world's greatest martial arts tournament, DOA.
I mean, harking back to the Street Fighter movie, it does kind of.
That happens sometimes. It's fine.
It does kind of hit the Street Fighter movie pretty heavily.
Just later, because like Street Fighter's like the late 80s, right? When they made the early 90s, or
well, the 1994 is
okay. So yeah, 90s. So this one's like 2006, but it has almost like a like right around 2000 aesthetic. It's actually not quite 2006. It's amazing though. I love it. But yes, they inject them all with nanobots. They say to broadcast their movements or something.
All metabolic functions and muscle movements are being broadcast and ready to download to computer.
But literally the only thing that we notice is it gives them a health bar.
Yes.
Like they would in the fighting game.
Yes. It's amazing. Yeah, because it says it monitors their vitals or whatever as well. And then I love it. Right after that, we then cut because it's been too long. Even though this whole scene was just shots of the contestants, specifically the women, like in very, very little clothes being scanned. We cut from that to Helena just rollerblading around and just close-up shots of her ass, like as she rollerblades past the camera over and over and over again. It's hilarious.
It feels like half this movie is that.
Yeah, it really is, in a way that is. I appreciate its honesty, Kyle. I'll say that much.
First to 5 wins, folks.
Like, here's the thing. Comparing this to a movie like, let's say, Killer Clown, whatever that terrible, like Camp Blood 8 or something.
Yeah.
That
We don't want to be here. Our car broke down. Can you help us?
You whores!
there's because I could see somebody being like, well, you hated that movie for like how weirdly gratuitous it was.
I think what you're getting at is you know what you're in for.
Yes.
And they delivered.
Yes. And it feels like everybody's in on it as opposed to like the director like being a weird perv. This feels like the women were like, fuck yeah, I want to roll around in booty shorts while you film me. Like it all feels very like everybody's having fun, which makes it way more enjoyable of a movie going experience. I love they announce they explain the rules of DOA briefly, and they say that there are no weapons allowed except the human weapon.
No weapons are allowed in a DOA fight except the human weapon.
In most situations, people are using some form of improvised weapon.
Yeah, they grab stuff all the time and just like wail on each other.
Because fights can happen at any moment.
Which is kind of an amazing conceit that I love. That's just like all of a sudden they'll be like at a party and they're like, oh, we got to fight each other now. All right. Yeah. So anyways, so then we get one of the first fights we see is Helena fighting somebody in this room with like chains hanging from the ceiling. And there's this incredible moment where she's like beats them all up and she like jumps up into the chains. And we get this awesome spinning like victory screenshot of her like hanging in the chains. It's so badass, Kyle. It's so badass.
It's so badass.
It is. It's awesome. Like, and the little KO graphic pops up. It's fantastic. Again, the director was like, yeah, man, we're making a movie based on DOA, Dead or Alive.
Now, I'm curious as to why, because I have a feeling that they originally tasked Paul W.S. Anderson to direct this.
Oh, you think?
And they basically, I think he may have had like a prior commitment or something where he couldn't dedicate the time. And they were like, well, okay, then if we're not going to get him, he can at least get us all the people he would use and we can just throw another director in there.
Yeah. Well, the guy they got, Corey Yoon, incredible choice, because boy, does that dude know how to direct a fight scene. It's fantastic.
I will, the way he shoots a fight scene, the angles he's able to get are like they throw you into the action.
It's what I'm saying. It's so visceral, dude. Like so many of the fight scenes, the way they're shot and the way the camera moves, it's like watching some of the better martial arts movies.
Did he work with John Woo? Because
I don't. Yeah, I mean, maybe.
It feels like he did. Like
I didn't look at his whole history, but he has a huge catalog of movies as a stunt guy and as a director in like Hong Kong and again in American cinema too. Like
because it wouldn't surprise me because as you mentioned Hong Kong, like back in the 90s, he worked with John Woo on a lot of the. Like those films. Yeah,
because it definitely has that frenetic style of like action directing that where the camera is
not a
moving.
whole lot of birds flying by though.
No, there's not. But it is the camera moves frenetic, like in the super frenetic and like impactful way that really amplifies the action you're watching. It's fantastic. It's amazing. It's art. It's art.
Because the hardest thing to do with that kind of like choreography emotion is keeping screen direction.
Oh yeah, and they do a
fantastic job.
Great job. You know where everybody is. You know where everybody in every fight scene is. Yeah, it's a masterclass in directing action, in my opinion. But I love. We then cut to a random shot of Kasumi like being sad on the stairs.
Yes,
and then we flash back to apparently she was just being held prisoner by some dudes. Never explain that. Who cares? That's irrelevant. And then her brother has to rescue her.
Not the entire like guards or whatever they have, or all the other retainers that they would have.
Just her brother.
Just her brother.
But this scene is also freaking awesome. He gets there and like the guy is like torturing her, and then he gets like a dart in the neck and falls over, and then her brother shows up on this bridge, and he throws like 1 billion of these darts in the air.
I'm like, what the?
And they're like slow-mo flying through the air, and he starts like moving through, fighting these guys and grabbing darts out of the air and sticking them.
Because they know the secret arts of acupuncture.
Yeah, to like paralyze people. Yeah. It's fucking awesome, Kyle. Like he's like,
I would be like, so you only needed 3 darts,
but he threw like 50 of them.
Right? So you just got all those like dirty and
yeah,
stuff.
Yeah,
cool.
Who cares? It's amazing. It's amazing. But that's the scene where after he beats all those guys up and kills them or whatever, where he gets recruited to DOA, like at the end of that scene from rescuing his sister or whatever. It's amazing. But we find out at the end of this flashback that they never found his body. It was like, oh yeah, so he's definitely, obviously, totally dead, right? He's totally dead.
Ayate fell from this very balcony. We never found his body.
Then we cut, and the thief, Christy, the thief, is back with her old fling partner, and they're like hanging out, and he's explaining that he has a plan to steal money. Like that's why he's there.
Because for some reason he knows that there's millions of dollars,
like $100 million, he says, in the vault. The prize for the competition's like 10 million or something, but he's like, well, who cares about that? We're gonna steal the 100 million from the vault.
Try 100 million. Just waiting for us.
I'm just gonna say, from an investor strategy, it seems kind of impractical to have your entire cash flow liquid like that.
Like liquid and just sitting in a vault. Seems like a bad idea, but this guy lives on an island and does like fight like weird invitational fighting tournaments.
It's like Prince when he had like what was it, like $300,000 worth of gold bars just in his estate.
Yeah,
Bryan has no clue.
I don't know what you're talking about, but yeah, it is like that and it's real stupid.
I am never going to financially recover from this.
I've completely lost your train of thought. Is
no, I'm just trying to. I have a quote in my thing. I'm trying to figure out what it's in reference to. It says, "Leon, that's harsh. Now that she's decided to stay, let's see how she compares to her brother."
Yeah, because Leon was the guy who killed her brother in the previous tournament.
I think I have this in here because like he said, like Eric Roberts says that. He says,
now that she decided to stay, let's see how she compares to her brother.
Now that she's decided to stay, let's see how she compares to her brother. And I'm pretty sure Leon just goes, all right. Like at the end, he's just like, all right. It's very awkward.
Because like, it feels like half the time, Kasumi, like when she fights, she's also like fighting off the shinobi hunter.
Yes.
Ayani,
yeah.
is after her as well. So she's like in the middle of like trying not to get her head chopped off, and immediately gets thrown into another fight.
Yes, which is what happens in this scene, which she's like sitting in her room, and it's incredible. She's like looking in the mirror, and this sword goes
right through, shatters half of it,
and then their faces are split on both. It's awesome, Kyle. It's freaking awesome. And then the other half of the mirror shatters, and so then she starts fighting Ayane. And then all of a sudden, Leon comes storming into the room to fight her, and he reloads his arms, Kyle.
I know. I heard that effect. I was like, did he just recock his arms?
He does. Which again is perfection. I cannot stress enough that if you're making this movie, absolutely when the big muscle guy goes, that his arms make a gun reloading sound. Of course they do. It should. It's amazing. Yes, it's awesome. And then so that she starts fighting him, and there's this great moment where like they're fighting near a bed, and he like holds a pillow up, and then she like jabs her hand through it and punches him in the face. It's so awesome. Ridiculous. It's so good. Meanwhile, downstairs, Zach is like trying to hit on Tina in the in the hot tub as they're hanging out down there. And so she tricks him and like is like, oh yeah, close your eyes and take your pants off, and then just like takes his swimming trunks and just leaves. Then she gets thrown through the wall into the bedroom with
the thief and
her like the other guy, her boyfriend or whatever, and they just watch them fight, and they're like, well, they're pretty good. They're like, yeah, that looks pretty good. Oh god! And my favorite thing is that at the end of that fight, they're beating them all up or whatever, and then she ends up kicking Leon's ass, and she turns to him and she goes,
You couldn't have killed my brother.
You couldn't have killed my brother. I was like, yeah. So she knows something's up, because if she could kick this dude's ass, her brother easily could have handled him. So there's some other foul bullshit afoot. And then I love so then that night, because her room, I guess, was destroyed. Christy ends up going to sleep in bed with Tina. Yes. Because like her room got destroyed or whatever. And I love Tina's dad comes in.
Because they're scheduled to fight. They got the little timer on it.
Yeah, her dad comes in and he's like, oh, my bad. I didn't know about you two.
No, Dad, she's just another fighter. We're just sleeping together.
Yeah, I can see that.
No.
But he's very supportive. He's like, look, good for you. I'll get out of here. He's a very good dad. I appreciated that.
It seems to be like my baby girl found herself a special friend.
He's like, good for you guys. I'm going to get out of here.
Okay, we'll put this off to tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, God. And then so they do that tomorrow, and they're like out in like
a lagoon or something.
Yeah,
like
they're like on a little raft.
Yes.
Tina and Christy are on this little, or not Christy, Ayume or Kasumi at this point are on this little raft, like hanging out. And then her dad just comes up and jumps onto it and like destroys it. And Kasumi jumps up onto like this water wheel.
Yes.
Which I assume again is from the game. It's like got to be one of the fighting stages, I imagine, is like this big one. Because there's no explanation for it. We don't know why it's there, but she just gets on top of it and walks on it the whole time.
I just realized, like, is this okay? So like the Devin Aoki, I just want to talk about her like filmography for a second. She started off in Too Fast, Too Furious. I think she was one of the racers, right? Or
I think so. I have a vague memory. I've only seen that movie once when it came out.
The pink vehicle.
I think so. Yeah.
And then she goes and does this, where she, I guess, is introduced to like wire working, like fight choreography or whatever.
Yeah.
And then she goes on to do like Sin City.
Yeah.
Where where she's like the only person doing that in that film.
Yeah.
I was like, that's an interesting kind of development of a career.
She's a good she's good at that kind of choreography stuff. So they just lean into it with her. But she's like on this water wheel the whole time while they're fighting. They're fighting on this this like raft, and the rules of whoever falls in the water first loses or whatever.
And this is a really good
it's great
for using as little space as possible and making the most of it.
Yeah, and there's this great moment where there's like these old people in a little canoe rowing by, and like she almost knocks her dad off, and he starts falling. And I don't know if you notice this, but he lands on the canoe and he's like planking, like holding like his feet on the raft they were on, and then his hands on that. And then for some reason she starts to fall. And he pulls it closer so that she can land on it, because he's a supportive dad and he wants her to do well, even though they're fighting each other. He doesn't want her to go out like that. So he saves her a little bit, and then she kicks his butt and knocks him in the water. And he's like, good job. I love it. He's like, yeah, you kicked my ass. It's amazing. So she beats her, and then after all these fights, we get like a very quick little shot of like a leaderboard thing where people move over into the next round or whatever.
Yeah,
because it's like
all of our main people get through.
Yeah. Then because obviously we have to, we get a volleyball scene, Kyle.
Yes. Did you think that wasn't going to happen?
Yeah, exactly. Did you think there wasn't going to be a volleyball scene? Of
dead
course
or alive branded volleyball.
Yes, it's amazing. And I love the whole time as this volleyball game is happening, we're cutting back and forth because Hayabusa is breaking into the compound and just kicking everybody's ass and then going up this staircase. And there's some cool shots of him like where he's walking up the stairs and we're shooting like through the stairs. It's
also
sweet.
I think it's I know why they did this, because it provides action and whatnot. It's completely impractical to not have your guards like armed with like
any sort of
less
weapons,
lethal rounds,
or anything,
less lethal weapons.
Yeah,
no, they all have the same collapsible baton.
Yeah, they just have batons because obviously you have to, so that way he can beat him up and doesn't just immediately get shot and lose. Yeah, but he beats up all these dudes to break in, and I love we get a great moment where he throws one of the guys over the railing and you get a Willem scream.
The very first person he runs across, he fucking breaks his neck.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah. It's amazing. And we're cutting back and forth with the volleyball game that whole time, and they're playing volleyball. Nothing really relevant in the volleyball game happens. It's just there because of the DOA beach volleyball.
Yes.
That's the whole reason that is there. But then at the end of that, Kasumi, a little throwing star comes in and pops the volleyball, and she realizes that Ayami is there and like runs into the woods to find her, I guess. And then we get this. They're in this bamboo forest.
The insane bamboo fight.
It is freaking awesome,
This feels
Kyle.
like some Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon
It's
shit.
amazing. It's so good. They just start beating the shit out of each other in this bamboo forest and like because she has a sword. Ayami has a sword. She's like cutting down bamboo, and there's this amazing shot where Kasumi runs up one and does a flip, and she cuts it right as she flips off it. And then the coolest, this moment blew my mind because
Was it with the
Yes!
opening thing? Oh, okay.
It's so cool, Kyle.
Yeah,
she grabs a giant, because the other one has a sword. And so Kasumi grabs a giant, branch of bamboo, slams it against another piece of bamboo, so the end of it, shatters.
Yeah.
And then
it opens like a fan almost.
Yes, and then Kasumi goes to stab at her, and she spins it so that it opens up. And then after she jabs at her, she lets it, she spins it, and then it opens up, and then it collapses and grabs her arm, and then she
flings the sword. Yeah, she flings the sword out.
It's amazing, Kyle. It's so cool.
I love how you're so
It's so good. It's art.
Okay.
I'm sorry. This movie goes so hard. I
God.
can't get over it. It's ridiculous. I cannot get over it.
It's art.
It is. And then I love we cut back because this is where does this come from? It's stupid, but it's perfect. We cut back and Weatherby is looking at Helena from a distance, and we get a fantasy little
I was like, what the fuck is this? Fast Times at Ridgemont Height?
Literally, he has this fantasy dream where he's and it starts playing the classic background track for this. It is the sound drop I can't remember what it's called, but that you use for this. And yeah, he and he's there's flower petals flowing down the screen, and it's all in slow-mo, and they're embracing it. It's incredible.
It's the second
out
that
of
happened,
nowhere.
I was like, what is this I was about to say Animaniacs, basically.
Kinda, yeah.
But yeah, it's what is this, some acne stuff?
It's incredible. It's so funny. And it makes no sense. It doesn't fit at all with the rest of what's going on. Don't care. I love it. Amazing.
Great job.
Should be that stupid. This movie should be like that, and it is. It's amazing. And I love, so they're at this party just hanging out, and I love just in the middle of this party they get a thing on their little wristwatch, and it's time to fight. Tina has to fight somebody.
Zach.
Now I can't remember.
Was
Zach maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is Zach.
We must go to the Forbidden Square.
Yes. Yeah.
Sunrise tomorrow morning.
Forbidden Square?
Fine.
That's right, because then they go to the square and they get in this again. I assume all these are stages from because the way they're so iconic.
This one feels like it, yeah.
This one has to be the bamboo forest, probably is the water wheel, the raft and water wheel thing probably is. I bet even the final the big statue with the multiple levels could be.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah,
that could be.
Man, can you imagine being a set designer for this film? That must have been fun.
It must have been super fun. It's so fun. Anyway, so they go to this thing and they have their big fight, which again is awesome, really well choreographed. They're beating the crap out of each other. It's a ton of fun, and I love at the end of it, she ends up beating the crap out of Zach, and they have this genuine moment where he's like,
"Oh, from now on, I tell you, my money is on you to win."
"Hey, I'm sorry I was a shithead to you. You go win." He's
I'm
"You're the
be
best."
betting on you. You're my betting odds.
Yeah, it's awesome. I thought it was nice.
Yeah, I guess I didn't get a really good return on that investment.
That's true. Then we have to have, and it's because so much of this movie just cut from fight to fight. Who cares? And that's the other thing. This movie is an hour and 30 minutes long, which is exactly how long it needs to be.
Yes.
And it doesn't waste any time with any bullshit. It is just fight to fight, and a little bit of stuff here and there, but mostly just fighting. And then because this is the Helena versus Christie fight. Where they're two of the final 8 or whatever.
yeah, this fight is just a fight on the beach in the most ridiculous camera
It's like
shots.
pouring down rain. My favorite is one of the opening shots. You might even have to censor this. I don't even know. The camera does a dolly behind Helena's ass, and like you can see. I think Kyle, you can see Christy through her thigh gap in the distance.
Yes.
It's art, Kyle. It's so stupid, but I cannot stress enough how much it feels right for this movie. It feels so right for this movie. Oh my god. So they're fighting in the rain again. It's the horniest movie. It's so amazing.
Basically, Bryan is saying that Dead or Alive, had Bryan been born a little bit later, this would have been the perfect video game for 13-year-old Bryan.
Maybe, I don't know. I'm surprised I didn't see this movie, because I would have loved this movie when it came out. It came out in what, 2006? I would have been 18. So that would have been perfect, right in my wheelhouse. But yeah, God, it's just. But I'm truly like it. I think it is. I'm just going to say it a million times, but I really think it is doing exactly what it needs to and does it perfectly. Like, I think it's just like, yes, it's ridiculous. Yes, it's stupid. Yes, it's like overly sexualized in a way that's like gratuitous, but it all feels correct.
It almost feels parody.
Yes, it's borders on parody, but it just feels completely self-aware, but also completely sincere in a way that kind of just works.
Like it's like models on cars that they're trying to sell you. Like it's that level of
I don't know what you mean by
like
that.
like when they get when they do like a car show or something like that.
Yeah.
And you'll just have a model sitting on the
I
hood
thought
of
you
a
meant like
car.
models of cars.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like putting a supermodel on like the hood of a car, being like, "Hey, do you want to buy this Toyota Corolla now?"
Yeah.
It's like,
but it's so funny because it's also not as gratuitous as it is. It doesn't feel exploitative in the way again some of the other movies,
like you said, it feels like everybody's on board.
Yeah, everybody's just having and maybe they weren't, I don't know, but it just seems like it watching the movie. It's just compared to something like Camp Blood or whatever.
I don't think anybody who got like the script and like their agents being like, "Hey, I got you a good
yeah game. Right,"
they're like, "Here's the video game," and they're like, "Do I really want to be part of this?" It's
I feel like everybody knew what they were signing up for. You would have to at that point. It's fucking amazing. But Christy ends up dropping her ass and like just kicks her and like slams her into the beach. It's kind of amazing. But also during that fight memorizes the tattoo on her neck.
Yes, a Buddha tattoo with a series of numbers.
Yes, which is when mirrored is how the access code for the vault for some reason. Why did she have that tattoo on her?
Why is the access code to a vault a fucking like tile puzzle?
Well, that's not the code. That's just to get to the part where you put that. Because I thought the same thing. I was like, why did you need this? Because he just does like one of those little slidey puzzles. Yeah. And I'm like, you didn't need the drawing to do that. You could just figure it out. But then after that, there's like a keypad. He has to put a number in, which the number is from the tattoo. Again, I don't know why she had. It's very strange, but sure. But meanwhile, the gals are gonna go try to find Hayabusa because he disappeared when he broke into the. When he broke in earlier to try to find Hayate or so, I don't know what he was doing. He broke into the thing, but he's been gone, and so they're gonna go try to rescue him and see what happened to him.
They fall into the most ridiculous trap. It's the trap.
Yes,
you're running into a trap.
Yes, but they turn a head on a statue, which reveals a secret door, and then they go inside, and yes, they are immediately trapped by Donovan. But meanwhile, then Weatherby, while this is all happening, Weatherby goes and finds Helena after she has won her fight, and they're hanging out on the stairs.
Yes,
because he has a crush on Helena.
The longest stairs on the planet.
Yes, the longest staircase that has ever existed. But he explains to her that Donovan wants to use. He explains what happened to her dad, kind of.
He never got a chance to. He died that night.
He's like, hey, actually, there was a disagreement between your dad and Donovan because Donovan wanted to use the research from the fighters for like evil, basically.
Yeah, sell it to the world, I guess, world armies to like download into their or to install into their soldiers.
Which at this point we don't know what the technology is really, but we'll find that out in like the next scene.
Your father was so against this, he decided to shut down the whole thing.
But yeah, he's like, he wanted to use the research for evil, and your dad wanted to shut everything down, so Eric Roberts murdered him, basically, is what he says. And then a bunch of assassins show up to kill them. And Helena just slices them all up on the staircase. Yes. There's like 30 of them, and she just
it's like the crazy 88 fight.
Yeah, almost. Yeah, honestly. And I love that all the ones coming from the bottom of the stairs are all women, and all the ones at the top are all dudes. I don't know, it's just like they're split into two factions. I don't know, it was interesting, but she just slices everybody up. But then our girls, intrepid 3-girl team has been captured by Eric Roberts and are in these and Hayabusa, and they're all
they're these pods. Yes.
That is analyzing the data from their nanobots.
Why can't they just
do that? Or they have that information. Why do they need to be in the pod? Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't make any sense, because the whole point of those things is that they could see the information the whole time. But anyway, so apparently something to do with them being in the pods makes it extra better or whatever, where they can steal. Not even steal, because they still have their powers, but they're fighting. Yes, copy and the data of their fighting ability.
Control C, Control V.
Yes, and they can then they literally harvest that information and shoot it via laser beam directly
into a set of sunglasses that Eric Roberts is wearing. That
with a little thing in the middle. It's so stupid. I love it so much. But it gives him all of their fighting abilities.
Which, okay, sure.
Cool. Why not? But yes, then we find out he needs to test it, and this is where it's revealed Hayate is alive.
Yes.
He's been trapped there.
Been keeping him in peak physical conditions.
So that Eric Roberts can fight him and test his fighting abilities with his new sweet Oakleys.
Oh, wow, Oakleys. Oh, yeah, bro, these are sweat.
But anyway, so Hayate comes out and they start fighting, and apparently with the sunglasses also, I don't know if this is the main thing they do, they can predict what the fighters are gonna do.
Yeah, it's like running simulations.
Yeah, it basically
I also like on this scene that has Hayate and Eric Roberts in this long shot of them getting ready to fight.
Yeah,
you can clearly see the knee pads underneath Eric Roberts' clothes.
Oh really? I didn't notice that. That's amazing. Yeah, but he does a thing where it's he sees it all play out before it happens, and then is able to counter all of the moves basically. And then so they are fighting, and he starts kicking Hayate's ass, and basically drop kicks him through a wall at some point. And he starts falling. That's what it is. He drop kicks him through a wall, and he goes flying out into the giant.
Yeah, he goes through the Buddha's face.
Yes, and starts falling down the tower.
And then
at the last second,
as I mentioned before, this woman exists as the plot needs her to.
She's just there. Ayami is like, ha! Catch. And snatches him. And then they kiss because she's in love with him. Surprise, who cares? But yeah, she saves him from falling to his death, and they kiss. Meanwhile, thief guy does a slidey puzzle, gets into the vault, and then gets confronted by Leon as he's breaking in.
It's a different one, but it's same build guy.
Oh yeah, you're right. It's not Leon because
it's some hulking dude.
Yeah, some giant guy. But then meanwhile, Weatherby has to hack. So he starts. Eric Roberts gets on a call with all of the world leaders or whatever.
He's trying to hack the pods open.
Yes.
But Eric Roberts is selling all the information to the highest bidder.
And it's uploading.
Then he's I gotta hack that one now.
Gotta switch keyboards. Ah! Oh no. He's just hacking everything from keyboard to keyboard. So he has to stop the upload of this data or whatever for this for the fighting technology, and he's able to stop that, and then he remember
at the very end, and I'm like, bro, that didn't quite have you ever heard of data partitioning? They still have 80% of it.
Well, it starts going backwards, so I don't know. Maybe he reverses it somehow.
Sure.
But he does that, and then he forgets. He's like, "Oh yeah, the pods, shit!" And then he goes and he hacks the rest of the pods open. And then there's also a great line where Helena shows up at this point, and she confronts Eric Roberts, and he said,
"That's exactly what your father said, right before I had him killed."
That's exactly what your father said right before I had him killed. And it's just great dialogue, incredible stuff.
Yes.
But he can't beat her up because he didn't upload her moves.
What a shame. You didn't download my moves.
or like her moves didn't get downloaded or whatever, so she can he can't predict her fighting moves, I guess, or whatever. But then he gets in to stop Weatherby from releasing the other ones.
He would already have her information.
You would think,
because she's like the most involved.
Yeah, you'd think he would have already tested this on her and but apparently not. So she's able to beat him up, but he gets away from her. I don't remember what happens, and he goes in and he's trying to stop Weatherby from hacking open the pods. So he like slams Weatherby's head into the Mac keyboard, and the Mac keys stick to his forehead. It's great. And at the last second, his hand reaches up and unlocks the thing, and they get out. Oh, meanwhile, Eric Roberts has activated self-destruct on the island.
3 minutes. That would be nice. Like anytime you use self-destruct for anything, it always comes with a timer.
Yeah,
it's like, all right, let's go ahead and self-destruct the base. We can do it remotely. It'll be fine. Got 5 minutes. It's like, why does it have a timer?
There is, though, and it's counting down, baby, because it's a movie, Kyle, and we need a ticking clock. What are you talking about? So anyways, he's able to release them, and then they all start fighting Eric Roberts together on the they're out, like, because he's trying to get away with the money.
Yes.
Like he's
that dude is carrying like 5 duffel bags full of cash
or whatever. But they get out to the big Buddha statue level, and they're all fighting out there. And there's this incredible moment where he like falls onto a railing, and all 4 girls kick it, and it kicks the railing off, and then it slides into the gap, but like it like wedges in between the hole so he doesn't fall. He's just hanging on this railing in the middle of the air. And then they have this incredible fight on these railings, like in the middle, and there's chains. He starts grabbing chains. It's so amazing.
Insane.
He does this thing where he like grabs the chains and he like wraps them around the other, or I think they wrap them around him. They're like trying to wrap him up with these chains, and then he grabs them and yanks the girls and pulls them off. It's so fucking cool. It's all amazing. But there's a big fight. Eventually, he gets kicked down to another level, and when he falls, he lands his glasses.
Loses his glasses and loses his ability because for some reason it only downloaded to the glasses.
Yeah,
and not to him.
I think the glasses are the thing. Like that's the technology. Okay. I guess you have to have those for.
Thank God there's no way to secure those.
Yeah. He doesn't have a little like an NBA like goggles. It'd be great, but no, he loses his magic glasses, and then he's like running. And as he's running over these boards, Hayate is below him watching.
Gives him a nice like little pressure point hit.
Right through the boards and like right into the arch of his foot, and it paralyzes him. He's like, oh no. And they just leave. Oh no, that doesn't paralyze him. It does briefly.
She uses
one of the needles.
Assuming he uses the needle and paralyzes him.
Right in his neck. Yep. And they just leave him there. And then they all swan dive off this tower because the building's about to explode. Yes. Or the whole island's about to explode. So they all swan dive off this tower into the water as everything explodes around them. And then then they're all sailing away into the sunset. I love we even get a pirate callback.
Yeah, they're coming to claim their next vessel. Yeah, the guy has a broken arm that's like splintered out.
Yeah, from Tina from the last engagement. And he shows up and I can't remember what.
No.
Does she punch, or do they just run away, or what?
I think so. I think they just leave them there, and
because they see Tina or whatever, and they're like, I can't remember. Yeah, but something happens. There's a little callback.
They lose their boat, so like I guess they're on like the debris out there because they're not there later.
Oh, that's right. That's what it is. They're all of our good guys are floating in the ocean, and then the pirates show up and they steal the boat from the pirates because it's the same pirates from earlier. And then they all sail into the sunset, all making out. And then we cut. This is the dumbest, most pointless like after scene ever. It's like 1 week later, and it's just
so ridiculous.
It's all of the main character girls.
They're at the palace from the beginning.
Yeah, and they're getting charged by an army of hundreds of sword wielding ninjas. And they're like, I'll take those ones. You take those ones. And then it ends. I'm like, what was that? I don't understand what that was. Sure, I don't care though. This movie is an A+. It is good bad. Well, here's the thing. It's absolutely good bad. It's so entertaining. I would also go a step further and say that this movie is just genuinely good. I am fully saying that this movie is genuinely fantastic. It's stupid. Stupid, but it knows it's stupid.
I will say it does very well at staying in its wheelhouse because it knows exactly the audience that it's after.
Yes. I think I don't think you could make this type of movie any better than this movie is. I just don't think it's possible. It's incredible. I love this movie. Thank you for recommending it, Kyle. I'm gonna spread the gospel of DOA, Dead or Alive, man. I can't get over how good this movie is. It's freaking amazing. Again, it's dumb as hell, but it's freaking amazing. Go watch.
Check it out.
Dead or Alive. That's gonna do it. As always, you can do us a giant favor by heading over to
Patreon.
Patreon.com/GB or beat my brain. GBorBB. Support us there, get access to bonus content and stuff like that.
It's all right, Brian. We know what's floating in there right now.
Yeah. It's Patreon/GBorBB. TeePublic. You can search and find our merch. I have a podcast called This Film Is Lit where we talk about movies that are based on books. When this episode's out, our most recent episode will have been probably Nimona, but we're also doing Poor Things coming up. But I don't think Poor Things will be out yet, but it'll be the next episode after this, right around the same time. So that's that. Oh, and we're doing Dune 2 at the end of the month. So Dune, if you've been waiting for Dune 2, it's coming. That'll be out at the end of May, roughly.
Your space desert holy war book.
I haven't seen Dune 2 yet because I've been waiting to do it for the podcast, but I'm excited because I love the first one. So we'll see. All right, that's that. As always, keep watching movies.
Especially,
oh my god,
Brian cannot recommend it enough.
Huge stamp of approval. Corey Yun, give me a call. He might be dead. I don't know how. I don't know how old he was.
Watch Dead or Alive. We've had it on Tubi.
Exactly. So good.